Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the CineMatch podcast, the podcast where we take different movies every week and debate/rate them. My name is Cal Altimus, and I am one of your hosts. And joining me, as he does every week, is Mr. Nathan Sackle Hanna. How are you, sir?
I was really tempted to do a really shitty British accent the entire episode, but I thought as soon as I started to do it, I was like, I can't pull it. I was going to talk like Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant, yeah, Hugh Grant the entire episode. But shit, yeah, I couldn't do it. But yeah, I'm all right. I watched, after many recommendations, including yours, finally watched Iron Claw.
Oh shit, yeah. What do you think?
I'm a different man. It fucking broke me. The fact that I said this to a friend of ours, the fact that they cut a brother out because it was too much tragedy for the film. For fuck's sake, just
I know, it's wild, isn't it?
I watched it with my friend, and there was a bit. I'm not going to spoil it, it's pretty new, but there's a bit where there's a bit of like one of the characters a bit going through a moment, and then it cuts, and then the phone rings, and then we both look at each other and we go, "Oh, fuck's sake," because we know something's coming. It's such a good film, but so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was. I've watched it 3 times now because I am a big wrestling fan. So I already knew the story of the Von Erichs, but a lot of people that I know didn't. So I've watched it with people that had no idea, and it's the fit for me. I mean, you don't want to give too much away, but like the first half of that movie is really like happy, and rewatching it after you've watched it, going back to it, even the first bit kind of feels sad when you're seeing them all like doing the thing. And I'm just like, I'm dreading what's coming. Like. But that film, I fucking love it so much. I think everyone gives incredible performances. I can't believe none of them got nominated for Oscars or anything.
I mean, agreed. After watching it, I was like, "This is top tier." Is it just because it was out of the range, or what? Or because it's just a wrestler? Like people see it as I think it's right. Zac Efron really breaking the mold of what people see him as. I think.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was brilliant. I think Harris Dickinson, who played David, the brother that joins him first, I think he was fantastic. Jeremy Allen White, who obviously has got a lot of hype around like The Bear and Shameless and stuff. I've never watched any of that. So this is the first time I've actually seen him, and I thought he was brilliant as well.
Yeah, agreed. I'd never seen him in anything other than this. Thought it was really good. So it really makes me want to watch The Bear because he was really good in this. The dad hated him.
Yeah, real piece of shit.
Right from the beginning, I really hated him. But I suppose that's the point.
Yeah, I imagine so. Can I just say as well, you said you were going to try a British accent. As someone from England, you are aware that there's numerous accents in Britain, right?
Yeah, but you know what I meant. Like
you have a British accent, technically.
The shitty Hugh Grant accent.
The London accent.
Where he bumbles a lot, and it's all very upper class.
Yeah, it's like the posh London accent.
Yeah, it's what Americans think us British people. Is that what them people in that town that has the small population think we sound like?
Yeah, it's almost a bit what Eleanor sounds like. She's Southern, so when she says things, sometimes I take piss out of her and replicate it like that. She's not far off that posh accent. But yeah,
I don't think I could put up with that. Sorry, Eleanor.
But you tried to do a Hugh Grant accent because we are discussing a Hugh Grant film today. We're continuing our Valentine's month. This is the second to last week. We really milked it for rom-coms. But this week we've got a couple of Julia Roberts classics in Pretty Woman, starring Julia Roberts obviously, and Richard Gere, and Notting Hill, starring Julia Roberts obviously, and Hugh Grant. 2 very different movies. Just the only reason they're really linked is because it's Julia Roberts, and it's probably 2 of the best movies she did, especially in that genre, and it's 2 of her most famous movies, so we thought we'd do them together. Have you ever seen any of these before?
I've seen Notting Hill before, and no, I have seen both of them before. Yeah.
See, I'd never seen it. I'd never seen either of these before. Never.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Julia Roberts is someone I'd seen a few, not too many. I'd seen Hook.
Yes.
Which plays Tinkerbell.
Yes.
And I'd seen that new one she did with George Clooney, which is a rom-com about divorced old people, which was good. But she's not someone I've ever seen too much of. So this is like the first proper introduction to, especially like in her prime. So yeah, it was interesting. But we'll crack on then, because obviously I know we've both got work after this, so we're in a bit of a rush. Talk about recording at the very last minute.
Yeah, we need to plan better.
Essentially, yeah. But it's hard. You know when your schedules are just fucking manic.
Yeah, agreed.
Like it feels like not got a minute to breathe at the minute. But yeah, we'll crack on then. We'll start with a story.
So we're not going to minute to breathe, but it's fine. We'll crack on with our podcast.
Yeah, this is priority.
We'll do it. Yeah.
Priorities. But yeah, we'll jump onto then the story. As I said, they are kind of different, but there's also a few similarities in the sense it's a man meets a woman who would come from very, very different parts of the world, and I don't mean different countries.
In one case.
Yeah, in one case, very much true. In the other, it's LA and New York, I think. But yeah, so in Pretty Woman, you've got Richard Gere playing a very, very successful businessman who I think is a millionaire. I'm not quite sure.
He's clearly I think the film just wants you to know he's rich.
Yeah, because there's a moment when he says he's going to get $1 billion to buy a business, and he says I need to get stuff from the banks and stuff. So I imagine he must have at least $1 million. They can't be lending him all that. So I'd say he's a millionaire who meets a hooker.
With a heart of gold.
You are?
A hooker with a heart of gold.
Yeah, who he eventually pays £3,000 to spend the week with him, and calls it nothing more than a business transaction. But of course, as any rom-com expert knows, they eventually fall in love during that week. And then in Notting Hill, you've got Hugh Grant playing a travel bookstore owner in Notting Hill, London.
Why not?
Which sounds like the worst business idea ever.
Yep.
And he meets a famous actress played by Julia Roberts who enters his store one day, and they embark on a wild romance which spans months and is on and off until the end, where they eventually figure things out as well. I'll go first then. And I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill because I think Pretty Woman's story, while it's entertaining to watch, it's also a bit dodgy, like that this millionaire old man is paying this young woman to spend time with him, and the thought, like, it doesn't really seem very like that. It should actually, that's actually a situation where you'd fall in love. It just seems a bit more creepy than anything to me that he was wanting to pay that way. I think the Notting Hill storyline I quite enjoy. I think I like the London setting. It feels very, very British.
Do you know why that?
Yeah, but some movies don't, you silly bastard. But it feels like London's like a character in that movie, and I don't know if it's just Hugh Grant and how great he is, but I love like the stuff with the side of Julia Roberts' fame, like when he goes to meet her and he has to pretend to be a journalist, or when the press show up outside his door, or even the press conference at the end. I love all that sort of stuff in it. So I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill.
Interesting. Can I say, in Pretty Woman, Vivian is the worst businesswoman ever because she's like £300 for, it's like £100 an hour or £300 for the night. Love, that's shit business.
Yeah, but I suppose she's probably putting into account that she's going to have like a 6-hour break.
Yeah, she is undercharging, especially when she clearly knows he's a rich guy. She's undercharging. I need to get it out off my chest before I forgot. I quite like the story in Pretty Woman. It is a bit creepy, but I like how, you know, she wants an out and she slowly becomes accustomed to this world, and then she keeps getting these reminders that she's not from this world, and he doesn't seem to care. But at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of these. We spent a couple of days together and now I'm in love. We've talked about that before, where people seem to fall in love really, really quickly in movies. And I know that's part of the thing, but especially if you're being paid and you know he's going to go back and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, we'll get onto it later, but I don't really buy that she's a hooker at all. A hooker with a heart of gold, maybe, but she doesn't give off those vibes. I don't know if it's because it's Julia.
Do you know many?
Do you know what I was gonna say? I know your mum. Well, your mum listens to this sometimes, so I probably shouldn't.
And if you watch it, I apologise for Nathan's actions.
That was a gut reaction. That was. No, a few. But no, I also prefer. I would 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill. I also prefer. Like you said, I like the fame aspect of it. I don't like how quickly, like they literally meet and then they get a bit of orange juice spilt on them and then they kiss. Like I don't like how quickly that happened.
I think that's supposed to be framed as though her being really like wild and spontaneous. Like he's shocked at that as well. I don't think that's supposed to be like this romantic thing where they both kiss. She just kissed him out of nowhere and he was like, "Well, what the fuck?"
Yeah, and I was just about to say that before you cut me off, but it's fine. It's fine.
You're just talking nonsense. I'd step in.
But yeah, all the fame stuff, the two and I really like that bit after they get caught by the paparazzi where he's trying to be rational and talk to her about her world, and she's like, "You've been in it for 5 minutes. I've been in it for 10 minutes. I've been in it for 10 years or whatever." Really, really like that kind of dynamic. So yeah, 10-9 in favour of thing. Plus, I think it's just a more well-rounded story in that Pretty Woman kind of goes up and down a bit, and it's not really. I don't know. It doesn't seem as focused as Notting Hill does with its characters. The characters kind of change quite a bit and are a bit non-consistent. Whereas all the way through Notting Hill, Hugh Grant is annoying as fuck. Julia Roberts is perfect. Spike and everybody—they're all fantastic. But yeah, and there's more time in Notting Hill as well. So automatically, for a romance story, that gains points. So
yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, we'll move on to the Open then. The Notting Hill Open is about as standard as a rom-com open as you can expect. I feel like I've said these words
every week
in the sense that it just quickly lets you know the character. So you've got the Julia Roberts montage of her being a famous actress, and then the Hugh Grant voiceover, which, to his credit, always fucking works. That guy can do a voiceover, like it is spot on. Love Actually vibes, like there's something about Hugh Grant doing a voiceover in a film, and I'm just like, let's go, we're fucking in for a ride here. And it just shows like his life and like where he lives and the job he's got, and he quickly explains his situation with his wife leaving him and his roommate. And then the Pretty Woman opening is quite different. It still paints a picture of who the characters are, but it doesn't do it in that conventional way. It opens up at this sort of party, which Richard Gere's character Edward is attending, and we see him on the phone to his girlfriend who's leaving him because he's not very present with her, and everyone's talking about him at the party, and then he leaves early and takes his lawyer's very posh car with him, and then it transitions to Julia Roberts, and we see like a little montage of her getting ready for a night on the streets, like putting the outfit on and doing it very seductively, I must say, with the wig and stuff. So they do
avoiding the landlord and just really, I think it really, the opening for Pretty Woman, really like, this guy's rich and doesn't care, but this woman is poor, but she's got a heart of gold.
Yeah. So it does paint a picture of who the characters are, similarly to Notting Hill, but it doesn't do it the same sort of by numbers fashion. So how did you score
that? Well, Notting Hill, I think I really like the effectiveness of Notting Hill's opening, because obviously that's clearly a lot of footage from Julia Roberts' actual career, and I like how it's all glitz and glam and then slowly I like there's a slow fade at the beginning that I was going to use for the teaser, but I forgot. Among many things, I forgot certain scenes I wanted to use, but it's like her face and it slowly fades into like Hugh Grant's normal, just kind of walking around bit, which I really, really like. And then, I mean, I'm not really a fan of narration over stuff, nor am I a fan of Hugh Grant's face or voice, but it does work quite well in Notting Hill. It's quite dry and funny, but I do prefer Pretty Woman over Notting Hill, just because I think it's, like you say, Notting Hill, while they're both very by the numbers, Pretty Woman has got just that little bit of edge by showing. I mean, you don't immediately see the characters. You see Philip, his lawyer, and you kind of get this vibe that Edward's already, is a disconnected, kind of distant character because he's not even at the party yet. He's off doing business, or no, he's off breaking up with his girlfriend. And he doesn't seem to care. When you meet him, he's just so doesn't care. When he gets when he wants to leave, he just gets in somebody's car. He doesn't care. He's like, give me the car. He's just going. He's rich. He doesn't give a fuck. And then even if he doesn't really know how to drive the car, he just takes it and leaves. And then with Vivian, like I say, like she's avoiding the landlord. You immediately get that. Yeah, she's hiding money in a toilet. You know she's not in a good position. She's dressed in seductively, very seductively. That wig works. And yeah, I just think it's, whereas Notting Hill is, this person's famous very, very clearly. This person has to have a narration as to why he's not famous and what the situation is. I just think Pretty Woman does it a lot better with visually and like using the story to tell that, tell these characters' positions rather than just straight up Hugh Grant using his stupid bumbling narration. I hate him, but we'll get there.
See, I take exception to that because I think Hugh Grant as a narrator fucking works. Have you ever seen Love Actually? It's spot on. It's always spot on.
Dislike Love Actually with a passion.
So that's a terrible opinion. I say all that to say I actually agree and went 10-9 in favour of Pretty Woman as well.
Yeah, of course you did.
Because like I said when I was describing it, it's just a little bit different. And I like the stuff at the party with, like I said, Philip and the way he interacts with everyone. And then we see Edward on the phone to his girlfriend. And it is clear that he just has no like emotional connection to her. And it is just the convenience of having someone there. And we get him taking the car in that, which is a really funny moment when Philip's like freaking out about him taking his I think it's a Lotus, and then the stuff with Julia Roberts as well. But what really tips over the edge, I don't want to step too much on the music later, but it plays one of the fucking greatest songs of all time in that opening. It's the best way to kick off a movie, and that's King of Wishful Thinking by Go West, which I think is a fucking absolute bop. And I didn't realise it was in this film. So I was very happy to hear it when it was. So that tipped it over the edge for me, and I went 10-9 in favour of Pretty Woman as well. I mean, I probably would have gone for it anyway, but King of Wishful Thinking was the icing on the cake because that's a fucking absolute anthem.
I do think that I don't know who it is that sings it, but she, whilst it's playing over Anna Scott's footage.
Oh, I think that's Elvis Costello.
Yes, it is, and I think that's really effective music to put over the thing, because it's very glamorous and it really paints this picture that she's such this big star. But I'll wait till we get to the female lead category actually. But yeah, I think it's a both effective use of music, but Pretty Woman 100% much better.
Yeah,
I've said this before, like when I watch a film and immediately look up if I can get the vinyl for cheap because it's a great soundtrack. Pretty Woman's got that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we might be spoiling the soundtrack, which we'll be talking
about. Oh shit! Yeah,
later.
I forgot we were doing a soundtrack. Yeah, okay. Well, they both got good soundtracks.
Yeah, anyone could win. We'll move on then to the best ending, which, as I've said before, is very important as it wraps up a film.
It's a conclusion.
And these two, as almost every rom-com in the world does, the endings of these two movies are essentially about the characters realizing their love for each other and putting differences aside and working things out. In Pretty Woman, you've got, I'd say it's from when Vivian's character leaves and says this business relationship isn't enough for her with Edward, and then he speaks to, I think it's Barney, the hotel manager, who kind of makes him realize what he's missing out, because he had that, it's like the analogy with the necklace, and he's like, it must be hard parting with something so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then he rushes to her absolute dump of a flat, like absolute cesspit of a fucking building, to stop her before she leaves. And he's at the bottom with the flowers, and then despite the fact he's afraid of heights, he climbs up those, is it like the ladders outside the house? I don't really know what it's called.
The fire exit.
Yeah, climbs up the fire exit to be with her, and it's nice little gesture. And then in Notting Hill, similarly, Hugh Grant's character realizes after he turns down Julia Roberts, he realizes that he actually has messed up and he wants to be with her, and he goes on this fun little chase with his friends who drive through London, and they show up at a hotel and realise she's not there and have to move to this different place where she's cutting a press conference, and he interrupts by asking a question in the middle, and they have that really emotional interaction where she announces she's going to stay in London indefinitely, and you get everyone really kind of clicks at the same time that he's this mystery man that she was snapped with earlier in the film, and then they have that nice little emotional moment, and then it cuts to some point in the future where they're just enjoying life in the park and she's pregnant. So they're both, like I said,
sounds so like,
and it's just rom-com endings, isn't it? These never sound different. Like, this is like the fourth week now, and I'm just explaining it differently each time, but it's always essentially the same.
Was it not your idea to do rom-com all week, all month?
Yeah, when you talk about the endings over and over, you're like, fuck, these things aren't very inventive whatsoever. So yeah, I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill because I think the Pretty Woman ending, I feel like it felt kind of rushed.
Yeah.
Because this guy, up until the end, was very adamant that he was this emotionless businessman. And one conversation with Big Barney, and he was like, fuck it, I'm going. And it was just the gesture didn't feel as great either. Like, this guy's a millionaire, and that's all he can do with flowers. Come on, man, you could do better than that.
Yeah, he goes to, like, he gets the cheapest, shittiest flowers from. Which
that's fiver from Asda.
That I guess it's like I'm getting something from your world, like I'm accepting your world kind of thing. But at the same time, mate, you just rented out, like, what was it, $250,000 necklace since you wore that a couple of days ago, and now you get by to like
some daffodils that he picked from next garden. Like, fucking hell. Like, it just didn't feel as romantic to me, and I think it felt really rushed. Whereas I like the Notting Hill ending with the chase, like, not the chase, but like the racing through London, and the way like his friends all play a significant role in helping him find Anna, which I thought was really fun. And then the stuff in the press conference when he asked the question, and then they have that interaction, just watching everyone click in real time and realize who he is, and the way the cameras turn on him, and the way she whispers. I think no, when she, because the press conference manager's trying to cut it off, and she's like stops him like, no, we've got time for one more. Like, I just think it felt more exciting, and it felt more unique. Like, the Pretty Woman one felt very by the numbers, like just show up at the last minute and before they leave. Whereas they're showing up in a press conference doing this thing in front of all these people. I just felt it felt different and not something I expected. And sometimes, like I said, when you're fucking repeating yourself week after week after week with these rom-com endings, it's nice to get something different. And that's what we got with it. So I went 10-9 in favour of that.
Me too, because whilst Pretty Woman is very, they fall out, like, she even leaves her out the money. Love. If you're that poor, take the fucking money.
Yeah, I'd still take it. I
get it in principle, but take the fucking money. But like, it just seems very like she doesn't take the money. She decides to leave, like, fully. And on the way out, he just has a change of heart at the last second as he's leaving. By chance, the hotel manager's nice and's like, oh, well, he took her home yesterday. And then he comes, and the stupidest fucking looking seat when he's driving down, hanging out the top of the, like, car, doing this. It's like, it looks stupid, and he looks fucking ridiculous climbing those things. If I were her and he were like shitting himself over the first rung of ladder, I'd be like, do I want this? It's a bit of an ick, innit?
Yeah, but don't bother then. Don't fucking bother, pal.
Yeah, if you just come up the stairs. What? You don't need to come. You don't need to. And the thing was never that he was afraid of heights. It was that he treated her like a hooker.
Yeah.
Whereas Notting Hill, actually, for rom-coms, I feel like does a lot of things different. Like, there's I would say the ending kind of is started when she's in the travel bookshop, saying, like, she's just a girl stood in front of a boy asking him to love her. In any other movie, that'd be where he clicks and says, okay, let's do this, or whatever. Yeah. Or in Hugh Grant's okay, yes.
Yeah, so I'd seen that scene before, and I went into this expecting that to be the end.
Yeah. You expect it, and then he turns her down. And to be fair, the logic behind it is pretty great. Like, if when it eventually doesn't work because she's a massive star and he's not, he'll see her face everywhere and he'll be nothing to her. And I really enjoy that. Like, it's really good logic. It's logic I wish I could use, but you can't because I'm way more famous. I've got a podcast. But then it also leads into the scene where you've got all of his friends that he's known forever who are like, know that he's made a mistake but are being supportive. But then you've got the best line in the film where Spike comes in and he says, "You daft prick." And that's what turns everybody around. Like, it's brilliant. And obviously you've got the typical run through the airport scene where he's chasing around London, and then you finally get in with another great line by, I think is it Bella? I can't remember her name. The one in the wheelchair, who's like, "Yes, I just I'm doing a piece on how hotels treat people in wheelchairs or whatever," and that's what gets them in. Brilliant line. And then you've got the like your press conference, which is exciting. Yeah, you get the bog standard ending of a glimpse at the future with a happily ever after, but and like him going into her world at the premiere, then them having their like shared privacy together in the private garden. But I just think it just turns it on its head multiple times. Like, he turns her, like, he's heartbroken, then he turns her down, then he makes a realization. She says she doesn't think there's another chance. He convinces her there is, and it's just like, it is really exciting.
Yeah, it's just a little bit different. Whereas not the Pretty Woman one, like we said, it felt like it was just like that, like really rushed. There wasn't really much drama to that at all. So yeah, we're in agreement there then. So I know you've probably been waiting for this. So we'll talk about the best male lead now. You've got Richard Gere as Edward Lewis, the very rich businessman who pays Vivian the hooker to spend $3,000 to spend the week with him. And in comparison, you've got Hugh Grant, who plays Will Thacker, the travel bookshop owner in Notting Hill, London, who meets this very famous actress. So it's two very different sorts of male leads, and you've got feelings about one of them. So I'll let you go first.
I hate Hugh Grant. I hate his face. He looks like a normal person that was left out in the sun too long and his face melted. It's his voice. It really grates on me. Do you know what? I like Hugh Grant, modern Hugh Grant, who's doing weird, overacting, stupid stuff. Like, I love him in Dungeons and Dragons. He was one of my favorite parts of Paddington 2, a film that I really didn't like. He's great in he's pretty great in Wonka, even though you can clearly tell he hates doing it. And all of the press stuff, you can tell he hates doing it, which I think is even better. But I think when he's in his rom-com days, he really grates on me, because it's like his agent said, you need to be literally the most British person to have ever existed, more than the Queen, but you also need to be the most awkward person to ever exist. And it's just so fucking draining when he's talking. It's like at the press conference at the end when he's talking, and he's like I can't remember exactly what he says, but the line's something like, "Would you give him another chance?" And a normal person would say, "Would you give him another chance?" But he's like, "Would you possibly give him another chance?" And you're like, "Oh, just fucking get the words out, man! Fucking get the words out." But that being said, I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill because he's just he is a better character than Edward. Like, Edward is, when I said earlier about inconsistency in characters, like that is Edward. It's like the film doesn't want you to ever believe that he's changing, but they also want him to change. So they always keep him distant and despondent and not showing any kind of growth. But when he shows the smallest bit of growth by, rather than splitting up the company and selling it off, keeping it and building the boats together, it's like, that's supposed to be a big change. No, that just makes business sense. Like, it's not like he's still a rich millionaire who's just making more money a different way. Like, I think the only kind of redeeming moment for Edward for me is when he punches Philip in the face. for what he did. And yeah, it just, I feel like the film wanted to keep this stoic, distant, rich man and have Vivian elevate to him rather than him stoop to her. And it just doesn't work for me. I mean, he's funny sometimes and he's pretty interesting to watch, but it's not, yeah, it's not like when all of a sudden he's like on the park having picnics rather than working and stuff like that after 2 days. It's especially after like the first dinner when he just doesn't, he's very much just like, no, this is fucking business kind of thing. It's, yeah, whereas William, I mean, as much as I hate him, he is charming. You can kind of understand why Anna Scott would trust him enough to come back to hide out there, and as she's there, like fall in love. Like, and there's that moment when he goes to the set and makes that decision because she overhears him. Like, that's understandable. Like, you would 100% think that she's just brushing him off and stuff like that. So, as much as I hate early late 90s, early 2000s Hugh Grant, I must admit that William Thacker is a better character.
Coming into this, when you said you had all these things about Hugh Grant, I didn't expect you'd actually give him the win. But I agree. I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill because, I mean, I don't actually mind Hugh Grant. And I thought the character, like you said, I think the character is charming. And I think some of the one-liners he come out with and the self-deprecating humour, it works for me. And I thought it was quite funny. I like the way he stood up for himself as the movie went on. I like that he left after overhearing her saying those things about him. I like that as it went on, he stopped being as much of a pushover because early on he'd let her get away with anything, whereas towards the end, he really found his feet and like turning her down in the shop and mentioning when she says all those nice things, he said, "Oh, well, I heard you say all these things," and just watching her freeze. And it's like, yeah, I'm glad he fucking brought it up and he stood up for himself. And some of the stuff he says at that point when he's like, "You're gonna push me suicide," which I completely expect. And it's like, but it's gonna like, and he essentially says like it'd hurt him too much. Like, I like that he's sensible towards the end. Whereas Richard Gere, there is something likable about Edward, but at the same time, like he's quite like a nasty prick. Like, I get that he's nice to Vivian, but he's also constantly trying to change her. Like when they go for the meal in that really posh place, and he's like almost embarrassed by her at the table, and then taking her to the opera and lying to the old woman about what she said. Like, and when he's embarrassed by her actions in the hotel, it's like, why are you spending so much time with a woman if you're embarrassed by who she is? Like,
Yeah, why go through all this hassle to hire somebody that you didn't
yeah,
really need to, really, just
yeah.
to kind of go, well, change this, change that, blah blah blah. Yeah,
And I mean, obviously she is a hooker. That's the whole point of it. But he does, when they have the argument and he gets the money, he doesn't even give it to her. He just places it on the bed. It's like, it is such a low, like a low blow. And like, he knows exactly what he's doing. There were just moments where he was a bit of a prick. And then his gesture at the end just wasn't anywhere near as romantic. So,
no, that bit where he says, "I've never treated you like a hooker," and she says, "You just did." Yeah,
good moment for Vivian.
right.
Big moment for Viv, that.
Yeah, yeah, and like he wants, like he starts out by saying, "I want you for the week. I want to hire you for the week to do this, this, and this, like be his companion for the week." But then still very happily indulges in what a hooker actually does because he's paying for it anyway. There's no point there where I'm ever feeling that he's like actually got feelings for her.
No, it's, and also he's like in his mid-40s and she's like early 20s. It's just a bit like, fucking get a woman your own age, you creepy grey-haired folk.
Look, we both know there are people out there that
Yeah,
have issues.
yeah,
But now there's also that bit like at first chance he tells his lawyer that she's a hooker, and he knows his lawyer's a bit of a creepy weirdo, and like, yeah, it just everything he does doesn't scream the ending. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. It's whereas Hugh Grant, you can see why Anna Scott would fall for a man like that. Whereas Vivian, it feels like she's falling for the money. Like, this guy doesn't really deserve her. We'll move on then to the best female lead, both played by Julia Roberts. You've got Vivian in, I don't know her last name. Do you know her last name?
No, look it up.
So you've got Vivian in Pretty Woman, the young, I think she's supposed to be 20. I think Julia Roberts was like 23 at the time. The young hooker whose life has gone to shit up until this point, and she's, by way of circumstances, she's found herself in this job, living in this really dirty apartment with her friend who is a liability. And she's just not in a good place.
Vivian Ward.
But she obviously meets Richard Gere's character, Edward Lewis, and then things spiral from there. And while she's like probably at the bottom of the financial fucking pyramid, Anna Scott in Notting Hill is the complete opposite. She's this famous actress who, when she's speaking to one of Will's friends early in the movie, reveals she gets paid millions per movie. So she is like the big fucking deal. She is Julia Roberts, essentially.
Yeah, it's
just playing herself.
It's a great scene when he's talking down to her, thinking she's in like a background.
She's like plays in the back garden or something.
Yeah, she's like a background extra in Heartbeat or something. And she's like, yeah. The last movie I got, what, like 2 point something million, and he's like, his fucking face drops.
Yeah, and then when he finds out it's Anna Scott, he's like, oh my god. Yeah, she's that complete opposite. She's this actress. And while the jobs are very different, so are the personalities. So I'll tell you now, I went 10-9 in favour of Pretty Woman because while you hate Hugh Grant, I couldn't stand Anna Scott. I thought she was fucking awful. She was a nasty, nasty woman.
I'm going to need explanations because I'm going to be the one that's going to have to explain this to Grace. So if you could do part of the work for me, because every time you have an opinion she doesn't agree with, I have to explain it for her. I have to take the heat for it or defend you.
She's just not very nice to him at all, ever. Like, first of all...
Who are you talking about, Anna Scott or Grace?
Either or. Apparently Grace isn't nice about me, fucking beefing my decisions all the time. No, like, obviously the first bit's really nice, and when they first meet and they embark on that mini romance, I was really like, I don't think I stopped smiling throughout it all. I thought, this is fucking awesome. Like, she's great, he's great. She's really down to earth. Like, the scene when she meets his friends, I thought was awesome. I thought she's really likable. And then we find out she's got this boyfriend played by Alec Baldwin who she just didn't tell him about. And then when he leaves, she makes no attempt to offer an explanation. She just ghosts him for fucking God knows how long till he runs into her again. And then she only comes to stay at his because she needs somewhere to hide. She uses him for a hiding spot, which she says on the phone to the agent, this great idea. Like, it was an idea to hide there. It wasn't to see him, it was to hide there. And then when she says she's going to regret it for the rest of her life, and he's like, fucking hell, like, Jesus Christ, I'm having a great time here. Like, be nice to me for once. Like, and then overhearing her just chat shit about him to that other actor, like, oh, he's no one, I don't even know why he's here. Like, there were just a lot of moments in it where she just treated him like shit. Yeah. And it just wasn't very nice. Like, I get you're a fucking famous actress and that, but like, don't treat him like the shit on your shoe for no reason. Like, this is a human being who has done nothing wrong to you at all for this film. Like, he's been nothing but nice. But there were just loads of moments where, like, even when the press showed up and she was just shouting at him, it's like, it's not his fault.
Yeah, I was just about to say is that line when it's she's like, well, it's all right for you. You will always be the one that's seen as like the man that slept with Anna Scott. You're like, fucking hell, love, calm down.
Yeah, like, and it was those moments and when she just has no filter in front of him. Like, like I said, when she finds out the press outside and she rings them like, I need help, she went, this great idea that didn't work. And it's like, oh, you were using him for a hiding spot because you knew where he lived, and that is a place you can stay for as long as you want without any publicity being around. Like, it just felt it felt rude. Like, it just, and like I said, she was cheating in the first place. She had a boyfriend she didn't tell him about. Then the shit when she was chatting shit behind his back, and then going to see him after he walked out and having the fucking nerve to be like, oh, well, why should I tell him my business? Like, it's not about telling your business. You could like keep it to yourself. You don't have to tell him anything, but you did tell him something. It was just nasty things. Like, if she was like, oh, it's none of your business, then it makes sense. But she actually told that actor that he was like a nobody and she didn't understand why he was there. So she did tell him stuff. It just wasn't good stuff. And I just think that's why I think it's so satisfying when Hugh Grant stands up for himself and turns it on at first. Like, fucking, she treats him like shit for like 3/4 of the movie. Like, fucking good for you, sir. So yeah. Whereas I think Vivian is incredible. Like, I think she's so like larger than life and bubbly. And the moments where she refuses to let these people in this new world like drag her down or treat her like shit, and she's determined to not lose herself. Like the moments when she's in front of the lift and the couple are glaring, and she like makes that really exaggerated thing about the fact she's not wearing any underwear, or when she talks to the old woman at the ballet at the opera and she says she enjoyed it so much she almost peed her pants. Like there's just moments where her personality shines through, and she's not afraid to stand up to Edward despite the fact he's this big, rich, powerful man. Like I think it's a great performance. And there's just so much more to like about Vivian in my eyes than Anna. So that's why I went with Pretty Woman. Now, Grace, beef me.
Can you calm down now?
Yeah, right, fucking beef that, Grace. Tell me I'm wrong.
I agree.
Here you go then. So she'll beef you and all. Fucking sound.
She always beats with me. It's fine. Yeah, Anna Scott is, and like you say, in that first half, she is really likable. But as the film goes on, like when he walks away from the set and leaves, like she chases after him and gives him like a massively expensive like original painting that he doesn't want, like he doesn't need, and it's like she's trying to buy him back. Like that's the way she does it. And while the line of just a girl stood in front of a boy asking to love is it's a great line, and that you expect it to have won everybody over. Like it's, I don't know, she does too much to not redeem herself by the end, I think. And I'm not going to repeat everything you said, but yeah, 100% everything you said. That it's all fine and well as long as like it's a secret, and as soon as the world knows about it, she becomes a bit of a bitch again. Whereas Vivian doesn't change throughout the entire film. If anything, the only change that she has is that the whole ordeal makes her remember what she wanted to do in life. She like doesn't become, she doesn't become the rich girl. She doesn't become the person that thinks she's better than everybody else. In fact, the first opportunity she gets with the money is to go back and rub it into other people's faces in one of the best scenes of the film, where she goes in and says, "Big mistake, huge," and uses like her personality still shines through. Every moment with Barney is fucking spectacular. Like the way she treats him with respect because he's the only one that's treating her with respect. Like even her friend Kit kind of like isn't treating her with respect because she's using the rent money to get drugs and all that kind of stuff. There's nobody around her that is there for her. Barney's the only one that is. So like that's the more positive relationship in the film, way more than Edward, obviously clearly way more than Philip. And I think it's great that she almost loses it at that polo match. She almost forgets who she is until she's reminded, but she never does. And I just think it's like there's loads of little scenes, like the scene when she's in the bath singing. You just get like a really down to earth look at who this person is, and that she doesn't deviate from that the entire film. Plus, yeah, I'm going to say it because we find a way to do it every week. Fucking hot in this movie.
Yeah, Julia Roberts is a very good looking woman.
If she takes that wig off, whew.
Yeah, and also I think there's like a vulnerability to the character which we get to see at times, which just makes it so much more impactful and enduring. Like the stuff with when Philip's character goes to her at the horse racing event, and he's like, when he finds out she's a hooker and he like says maybe they should do something, you can see how uncomfortable she is. And then when she tells Edward that she made him feel like a prostitute, like there's just something there. Like you see this sort of like I said, a vulnerability which you don't really get too much with Anna. Like she just comes across a bit up her own ass at times, whereas Vivian. Maybe Vivian and Will should have got together. That would have been ideal. Put them two together instead.
No, that would have been I don't think Will would have been able to handle that one.
No, probably not. We'll move on then to the best version of the couple. Obviously, both movies have these couples that we've spoken about.
Neither of us like either of the couples.
So we don't like 50% of them.
Can we vote Vivian and William?
So yeah, this is going to be hard because you've got the Pretty Woman couple, which is Vivian and Edward, the hooker and the millionaire, should we say? And then you've got Notting Hill's couple of Will and Anna, the bookshop owner and the actress. Both couples obviously go through some shit throughout, and then they end up together. I mean, I don't really know how much more to describe. So how would you score it? Because they're both quite questionable.
I have I ever refused to score something on this one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go 9-9 to both because I can't score one above the other, and neither are good. So I think Edward and Vivian don't work because Edward is trying to he's constantly trying to change it, and even when he's accepting of her at the end, he pulls up in a limo and obviously wants to take her into his world. I just can't imagine that working. Like, I think she has feelings for him that she can't change because she got too close. She kissed him. She got too close, and I don't think that he will change. Once he gets back to real life in New York, it doesn't seem like something that will have this massive overhaul of his life. He'll get back. He'll go back to making money. He'll probably regret his decision on the boat making because he's probably going to lose a fucking lot of money, and he's just going to go back to being stoic and rich guy. Whereas I think she would be stifled and probably feel like she needs to change for him. And same with the Anna and William. I think although it shows you the happy ending, I don't like Anna either. And I probably think that William could have done better. Like, Emily Mortimer was in that film. She was perfect. She was perfect in every way. She was perfect.
Said that as well.
He was perfectly British. He's perfectly British, but she can actually be British and say her sentences in one full sentence rather than dragging it out over 5 minutes. But other than that, they would have been great together. But I think, yeah, I couldn't decide on that. I can't decide on either because I just don't like either of them as couple. I think William had the right idea by saying, look, I think it probably would have, like, I get it's not the traditional rom-com, and you would have missed out on the great press conference scene. But what an ending it would have been if, after all of that, the man was the one to decide that he didn't want to be heartbroken, so he moved on with his life. Because it's never the case. That's never the case in movies.
It's also never the case that the man isn't the one to realize and make the big romantic gesture. Like, how many movies do you remember where it's the other way around and the woman makes the big gesture? Because there can't be many.
No.
But I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill because I think it's the lesser of two evils. Like,
you can change your score at any time.
The Pretty Woman, there's no future there whatsoever. Like, no. I think the way they got off the start of the relationship, like the way things kicked off and the way like that first week, I just think there's some obstacles there that you'll never be able to overcome. Like, I don't think he'll ever be able to look at her as anything other than like someone below him. I don't think he'll look at her as his equal ever. I think he'll never stop treating her like that. I don't think, like, giving her money to go keep herself occupied. That's not like when he was saying, like, I get this house and that you can be there and do these things. I just don't imagine he'll ever be present enough to ever make a relationship like that genuine, and they'll both just be miserable. And it'd be one of those where they probably be married in 6 months and divorced in 10. Like,
yeah. I feel like he's also the kind of person that people would say, oh, how did you meet? And he'd go, she's a hooker.
Yeah. Although it also wouldn't surprise me if he'd lie about it because he seems embarrassed.
Yeah, that's also true.
Where I think Anna and Will, she obviously treated him like shit numerous times throughout, but I think the fact is that film takes place, what is it, like over the course of a year and a half? Like, there's months that go by and they still somehow keep coming back to each other. Like, despite all this time passing, their feelings are both still very strong, which I suppose, it lends more credence than a week.
Yeah.
So I think that on that basis alone, and the fact that we see that little flash forward, she's pregnant, and they seem to be happy and content in life. The romantic gesture at the end just felt more genuine. They both had these big declarations of love. Like, she obviously had her scene, which is where most normal rom-coms would have ended, but then with a twist, he says no, and then eventually he has his scene. Like, I think that the fact that they both do that. It strikes me that the relationship is much more genuine. Like, I just think there's more chance of them two working it out, despite the fact she tried that shit for 3 quarters. She needs to have learned a lesson, and hopefully she's nice now. Well, I mean, she said in the press conference she's taking a break from acting, so maybe this little career break, this little mini retirement, she's all right. And then when she goes back to action, she's a dickhead again. Who knows? But
I think she needs to take a career break from acting because the films, the clips of the films, and the stuff that it shows that she's in makes her look shit.
she needs a new agent, is what she needs. A fucking space straight into that a submarine and then into this fucking period piece. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, she needs a. She doesn't need a new fella. She needs a good agent and get her in. Like, what would be Anna Scott's equivalent? Do you reckon? Like modern day equivalent of just women that, like a woman that's just in it. Maybe Scarlett Johansson is just fucking in everything, good or bad.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question, actually. My mind's gone blank. Someone that's just in pretty much fucking all sorts. I mean, Dakota Johnson sounds like a good idea right now.
Yeah, except
Mad,
for Anna Scott seems loved throughout the world, whereas Dakota Johnson not so much.
she's got Madam Web and the 50 Shades franchise. That's just fucking. That's just straight up garbage. Scarlett Johansson's a good shout.
I think probably the best, the closest one. I've just searched famous actresses, and Julia Roberts is number 2. Maybe she's like Margot Robbie. Oh no, Margot Robbie
does good stuff though.
Yeah, I would say either Margot Robbie or Jennifer Aniston, Scarlett Johansson.
I suppose it's not on the actress's abilities, but a woman that seems to do fucking everything is Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, that's true.
She seems to be in fucking all sorts. She does like the weird sci-fi stuff, the rom-coms, the fucking drama. She does a bit of everything. But they're usually good, so never mind. Yeah, Anna needed a new agent, but the couple seem like they last longer, so they get 10. And like I said, I just think the longevity of the build-up, there's more like legitimacy to it than a week. Like, you don't know fuck all after a week. You don't love someone after a week, and like the very next week, you could be like, oh yeah, I'm not actually that into you. Whereas I think Anna and Will have been into each other, like, and have these deep feelings for like over a year, because each time there's months that pass, and then when they see each other, it's the exact same. So it just feels more genuine, and I just believe in them more. We'll talk about the rest of the cast then, because both movies have these decent supporting casts. Pretty Woman's obviously got Jason Alexander as Philip. It's got Hector, is it Elizondo? I don't know his last name. Elizondo, I can't remember. As Barney. It's got that Laura San Giacomo, I think it's pronounced, who plays Kit.
Yeah.
All great roles. You've got the man that he's doing business with, the old man James Morse, who's played by Ralph Bellamy. You've got his son, whose name I can't remember. But it's a strong cast of interesting characters. Some that play very important roles, and then in Notting Hill, you've obviously got a huge supporting cast, which is mostly just Will's friends. You've got
more overly British people.
Yeah, you've got Hugh Bonneville as Bernie. You've got Emma Chambers, who plays his sister brilliantly. You've got James Dreyfus, who plays Martin, who works in the shop with him. You've got it's Reese, is it Ifans or Ethans? I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
Reese Ifans.
Yeah, Ifans, who plays Spikey's roommate in a fucking incredible role. You've got Alec Baldwin, who cameos as Anna's famous actor boyfriend at one point. You've got, like I said, all of Will's friends. Like, I don't know the woman who plays Bella in the wheelchair.
Gina McKee.
Yeah, she's great. Like you said before, you've got Emily Mortimer in a very, very small role. You've got a young Misha Barton who has like one scene when she's like 13 years old.
She's the kid, isn't she?
Yeah, which I recognised immediately because I was a big OC fan. And you've got Tim, is it McInerney as Max?
McInerney.
Yeah, who is with Bella. Yeah, it's both casts are relatively stacked. But I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill because I just think they play a much larger role. Like having all those friends and having their little stories, like having Will's sister, Honey, who's obsessed with Anna, and like their interactions is really good. And then having her eventually fall for Spike, the roommate, which is just absolutely ridiculous, but really funny at the same time. All of his interactions with Will and Anna when she first comes over and he's in the bathroom and he sees her and he's like, I just have to make sure because he thinks he's dreaming. Like all those characters have these very unique personalities, and I think they all work really well. Even like Bella and the wheelchair subplot and like how they can't have kids and like when you get that backstory about the accident, I think it all works. And Alec Baldwin always plays like a up his own ass actor really well. Probably because he is in real life. I don't know him, but he always plays that role really fucking well. Like he does something similar in Glenn Ross when he comes in for one scene and he's just a really slimy, like obnoxious prick again. It's one of his fortes, and I think he does great here. Emily Mortimer has got one scene and she's fantastic again. Like that woman is just so likable. Apart from in Scream 3 when she's Sydney's understudy kind of thing. But the Pretty Woman cast is good. Like Hector Elizondo, who plays Barney, I think he's awesome. Like I love him in Princess Diaries. I've got no shame. He's fucking.
I'm going to say Princess Diaries because that's literally the only other film I can ever remember. I'm sure we've watched a film lately where he was in as well, but yeah, he's great in Princess Diaries.
He's fucking awesome in Princess Diaries, and he's awesome in this. Like he's really, really good. Like his relationship with Vivian and their friendship is probably the most heartwarming and wholesome aspect of the film. The first scene when he's like quite skeptical and judgmental of her, and then when he gets the phone and she thinks he's ringing the police, but he's actually ringing the shop to help do her shopping with the woman, and she like that really nice heartwarming moment. And then every time we see him afterwards with her, like their interactions are great. Jason Alexander as Philip. Philip's is like a real scumbag, but it's a good performance. It feels a bit out of place in a rom-com. Like he literally tried to sexually assault her, which probably doesn't happen in too many rom-coms. Like that felt out of place for me.
I mean, I think he's just exemplifying the rich sleazy person that he doesn't value her as a human.
Yeah, it's weird the way he switches it when he finds out she's a prostitute. Like it just you are.
Especially at the polo match, that his girlfriend's there and like his wife or whatever, who is clearly just like he's in control of as well.
Yeah, he's grim, but like I said, it's a good performance. Kit's a great performance. I think that was fantastic. But I think because there's really only those guys that play a significant role, whereas the entire supporting cast in Notting Hill feel like they have their own personalities and their own things to do, their own mini stories. So I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill.
Yeah, so did I. Pretty Woman has got. I mean, Barney is the best character in Pretty Woman outside of Vivian. So I mean, it is a really small cast, but it does a lot with them. But Barney is the standout. Philip's.
I thought you said you really liked Philip.
No.
Oh.
No. I said that's not what I said. What I said was when I was watching it, it made me laugh because it reminded me of you.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought you said you could relate to him, but never mind.
No. It was I was saying that you could relate to him. Now, I was could relate to him because he's clearly a man that's got short man syndrome, which Bernie would relate more than us. He doesn't listen to this, so it's fine. We'll slag him off instead.
He's never not listened to a rom-com episode either.
No, of course not. It's not got Leo in it. We didn't do a single Leo this month.
Have we done a single Leo ever?
Do you know what? I don't think we have.
No.
Oh.
Something for the future.
Something for the future. And Kit's just there, I think. Whereas, like you said, everybody in Notting Hill has got a purpose. Everybody's got something that they contribute. Like Spike is quite clearly one of the most popular characters come out of that film. Like when he goes out to the press and then comes back in and immediately checks himself out in the mirror. like clenching his arse. I think that's a pretty iconic moment in film. Unfortunately, I like when the bit like when he goes into the bathroom and goes back in to double check. It's fucking hilarious. He wearing the scuba suit because he's got nothing else to wear because he doesn't wash his clothes. All that bit. His face when Honey's like, by the way, it's you, and he's like, oh fucking yeah, let's do it, kind of thing. But it is that moment when he walks in and goes, you daft prick, and it turns it all around. Like it's one of those characters that I like that nobody takes seriously, but everything hinges on like his reaction to stuff or what they do. Really enjoy that. Everybody's great. Hugh Bonneville is Bernie, great as always. Like the bit when he's like talking about how much she makes and all that kind of stuff. That's fucking great. I love how they're all very self-deprecating, but it's so much love around them. Like Bella, who clearly had a thing with William in the past, still loves him massively. Like the relationship between Bella and Max, like him carrying upstairs and them saying they're not going to go without her, kind of thing. Really heartwarming. I think that friendship group's amazing. And then Martin in the bookshop, fucking hilarious. Like, what's he say? He asks, what's somebody like? And she's
Patrick
like,
Swayze.
Yeah, what's Patrick
Swayze?
Swayze?
He thinks she's in Ghost.
Yeah, he thinks she's Demi Moore. It's like he's like fucking patting his head and whatever. He was like really popular in the 90s. He was on a show called Gimme Gimme Gimme, which was massively popular, and he's fucking hilarious. But it's just like the way he does like his lines when he's talking to her about the film and how he says all that and he says massive fan. It's like fucking hilarious. Yeah, it's just a stronger cast overall. Honey, obviously, really really quirky. Meets one, but she is the definition of thinking that they could become best friends with a famous person if they met him. You know, I think all the cast are fantastic, other than Emily Mortimer, who's massively wasted by William not ending up with her.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head when you said like the friendship group just feels genuine as well. Like it feels real. Like the way they are just mocking each other at the table. That is the sort of thing you do with your friends. Quick shout out to Dylan Moran from Shaun of the Dead, who played the thief in the shop.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to smuggle books down his trousers. Now that was a really, really funny moment when William's saying like, "I know you've got him." He's like, "What if I did have a book down?" And like that shit was really fucking funny. And then he asks Anna out. That was a really funny scene. He comes in for one scene, and I just thought it was brilliant. So I wanted to give him a quick mention because I forgot to earlier.
Surprised it. Did you notice? Because I point it out every time I watch it. Ahmed Jalili, he literally just gives some food to Hugh Grant, and he's in it for like a split second. You know, the guy that in Mamma Mia 2 that's in the passport, like checks the passport before they goes on the boats.
Oh, I didn't know he was in it.
Yeah, he was in it for like a second.
Oh, I didn't even notice him.
It always blows my mind because he was in The Mummy as well.
Yeah, he was in The Mummy. He's the guy that gets the scarab beetles in him, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, gives me nightmares now.
We were filming at the same studio, and he was just in it, just popped in it and did a.
That's crazy. That's crazy that they were filming at the same studio. Like, what the fuck? They couldn't have been more different.
No, the Notting Hill and The Mummy, exactly the same film.
We could have had an alternate universe where Brendan Fraser played Will.
That would be believable.
But then we'd have had Hugh Grant and The Mummy, which would have been strange.
Oh God, no. We need to do The Mummy at some
point. We'll talk about the soundtrack now then, because as you said earlier, the Pretty Woman soundtrack, pretty iconic.
There's one song in it that's pretty good.
Yeah. You had a look at the vinyl. There's one particular song which it's very well known for. Similar with Notting Hill when that came out, there was one song that it was known for, but also quite a solid soundtrack. Yeah. I'll just run through some of the songs now then, because like the one that everyone knows from Pretty Woman is "Oh Pretty Woman" by Roy Orbison, which became one of the biggest songs like ever from that film, and it's still synonymous with that film now. But you've also got, like I said earlier,
I wonder why.
Because it's a good song.
Because the film's called Pretty Woman, do you mean?
Well, yeah, but like you could have a song in a film, but if it's not that good, no one's going to really remember it with it. But the song is called "Oh Pretty Woman," so it's not the same title.
Oh,
I know. I did my research. No, but like it's always got King of Wishful Thinking, which I've already said I fucking absolutely adore. It's got Must Have Been Love by Roxette, which is also a great song.
The best song on that soundtrack.
It's King of Wishful Thinking, I know, but we're talking about Must Have Been Love.
No. Must Have Been Love. My only problem with Pretty Woman is they cut out the drums at the beginning. The fucking drums at the beginning Must Have Been Love. Oh, they hit me in my soul.
Yeah, it's great. It's also got Wild Woman Do by Natalie Cole, which is also a great song. But then the Notting Hill soundtrack has also got some pretty incredible songs. Like I said at the beginning, it's got Ronan Keating, When You Say Nothing at All, which, let me tell you, a big Ronan Keating guy. What a fucking tune that is. What a fucking tune.
Do you love it when he sings the word smile?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. You've also got Ain't No Sunshine, which is obviously an iconic song. We already mentioned She by Elvis Costello. You got Gimme Some Lovin', which is a very famous song. They both got some incredible songs. Like,
let's not forget Miss Shania Twain. She's got You Got Away on there.
Oh, great. I didn't remember that one. Do you know what I noticed when I was looking at it? Apparently, the US version of the soundtrack just has loads of different songs on.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know why. Like
maybe to appeal to more American audiences, but that's a strange one.
You'd think that, but I'm pretty sure they've replaced Ronan Keating with just Boyzone.
Yeah, makes sense. Boyzone are better.
Whoa. Like the US version has got No Matter What by Boyzone.
That's strange.
Yeah. Maybe that's the only difference, actually. I'm having a look now. Oh, no, it's also got Ronan Keating. They just thought, you know what, this needs some more fucking Boyzone. Let's just get him on there. And you know what? Fair play to him. I agree. So, I'm not going to hold him back for that. But, how did you score it?
A tough one. But I think... I don't know, actually. I'm going to wimp out and go 10-10. I think they both got great sound. Oh, no. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to go 10-9 to Pretty Woman because I can't stand When You Say Nothing at All. I do apologise.
You scumbag.
I love... The thing is, I think Notting Hill uses its music a bit better. And I'm specifically talking about one moment with the Ain't No Sunshine moment. That scene where he's walking down the marketplace and the seasons are changing. It's a great scene. And it's one of them where I'm like, how did they do this? I think I figured it out. They've done it. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. How did they do it kind of thing? And it's a great moment with the music. Just works really, really well together. And like I said at the beginning, she works to accentuate Anna's kind of glamorous nature and how big she is. When You Say Nothing at All, fucking terrible song.
That's just incorrect.
Your eyes went crazy wide then. He was like, nuts.
Incorrect is what that is.
But, I mean, Oh Pretty Woman, King of Wishful Thinking, and Must Have Been Love. I didn't look for the soundtrack for Notting Hill, and I did look for the soundtrack for Pretty Woman. So that's how I'm going to score it on a weekly basis. Did the thought cross my mind and if I should buy this soundtrack or not? Answer is, I'm pretty sure I've got a Pretty Woman soundtrack coming to my house. So I haven't got a Notting Hill. I don't think I could forgive myself if I'm going through my collection and I flick past the Notting Hill soundtrack. I could forgive myself if I had Pretty Woman on there.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind having When You Say Nothing at All on the shelf. Absolute bop.
I'm going to buy you the single so you can put it up on the wall.
I went 10-9 in favour of Pretty Woman as well.
What are you fucking complaining for then?
You are?
What are you complaining for then?
No, I'm just complaining that you're bad-mouthing it. Deserves some respect. Ronan Keating.
Put some respect on me.
Ronan Keating is that guy. Notting Hill has got some good songs. And like I said, if you're going off the two main songs, because obviously both movies came out and they have these big songs that were linked with them. And it is All Pretty Woman and it's When You Say Nothing at All. Like, those two songs are synonymous with the movies. And if you're going just off them, I would go in favour of Notting Hill because I prefer Ronan Keating and When You Say Nothing at All. But from top to bottom, the Pretty Woman soundtrack just shits on it for me. Like I said, starting off with King of Wishful Thinking, which I fucking love. Like, I don't know why, and I don't even know when I first heard it. Well, actually, I do. When I first started at Haven, so this is like 10 years ago now. Shit, showing my age.
Yeah, you are getting on, mate.
Yeah, they had like the dancers and singers. Obviously, they put shows together. In my first year there, they had a show which was called Girls on Film, and it was all 80s songs from movies. And King of Wishful Thinking was in there, and it was the first time I'd ever heard it. And I was like, this shit fucking slaps. So I've been listening to it for 10 years since, and I forgot that it came from a film. And then I watched this, and I was like, oh shit, here we go.
I love that they did girls from films and picked King of Wishful Thinking rather than Pretty Woman.
They might have had Pretty Woman in as well. I can't remember. It's been 10 years, but all I know is for definite.
Did they have anything from Dirty Dancing? The best, one of the best.
I think no, that's Hear It for the Boys from Footloose, right? That was in it. I can't remember anything from Dirty Dancing was in, but that film sucks, so that's probably why.
Can't wait till we do Dirty Dancing and I prove you wrong.
We're going to watch it and tell you it's shit again. Patrick Swayze's a creep. That man's like 30.
If we did we need to do Dirty Dancing. I'll let you pick anything to go up against it. And if you still don't like that movie after watching it, then we're stopping the podcast. You'll get some time. We'll get some time back. We'll get an hour and a half to 2 hours back a week. Grace will be happy that she can finally watch the films that she wants to watch rather than 2 films that I need to watch.
Oh yeah, I bet she hates getting to watch Notting Hill and Pretty Woman.
Well, no, this month's not been too bad, but like most of the time,
heat in the town.
Yeah, most of the time it's like I want to watch films, but I know you need to watch films. Like, yeah, I do.
Back to King of Wishful Thinking.
Yeah, sorry.
Great song. Must Have Been Love, fantastic song. Like I said, the Oh Pretty Woman is a good song. Like there's no denying it. It's just a better all-round soundtrack. I really like, and I don't think I'd heard it before, but the Wild Woman Do song I really, really enjoyed. I'm not sure I'd heard that before, but that was quite catchy, and I'll probably put it on my Spotify soon, as I usually do. So yeah, 10-9 in favour of Pretty Woman, despite Ronan Keating's fantastic rendition.
A smile on my face. That's how he sings.
Incredible.
I didn't want to carry on just in case we got copyrighted strike with that perfectly sang rendition.
Yeah, if they thought we'd fucking just put Ronan Keating on the podcast, they might give us a slap on this. But yeah, so we'll talk about the legacy next then. How the movies have held up, how they were viewed at the time, like how popular they were and how they're looked at now. I went 10-9 in favour of Pretty Woman because, I mean, it feels obvious. Pretty Woman is probably one of the biggest rom-coms of all time. And do you know what I looked at when I was looking into it? When this film came out, it was the 4th highest grossing film of all time.
That's mad.
That's fucking absurd because Julia Roberts had done like 2 things before this. Like, how often do you get a film where it's like someone's breakout role, but it also is one of the highest grossing films of all time? That just doesn't really happen.
For comparison, the 4th highest grossing movie of all time now is Titanic.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, I think it made just under 500 million, but in 1990, how much is that 500 million worth now? God, you have to put the work in today, aren't you? Look at you. More work than you've been doing.
How many zeros has 500 million got? 500 million. What is 500 million in 1992 today? I don't know if that's going to give me an answer. Oh, wait, it will. It calculate. Come on.
If it says 600 mil, this is going to be the most anticlimactic shit ever.
I don't know how to say that. 1 billion 179,866,105 pound.
For a rom-com?
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking wild. Starring Julia Roberts, who hadn't really done too much. And it's not like Richard Gere was the most famous actor in the world.
This is, I'm really quiet, but that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
Like back then, that's a lot of money. Maybe £100 a night, £300 a night for the £300 a night for the night it was a lot of money.
Yeah, maybe it was. $3 grand a week. Big cheese, that. Big cheese. Yeah, it's just I think if you ask most casual, especially casual movie watchers now, Pretty Woman is it's one of the best rom-coms and it's one of the most popular rom-coms and it's one that people adore to this day. Whereas I don't think Notting Hill has held up the same way with the majority of people.
I think Notting Hill has got like a, I think it's got a lasting. What was I going to say? It's got a lasting effect with British audiences, where I think Pretty Woman is pretty global. And it also helps that it came out in the 80s, so there's like a massive. Was it 80s? Late
It's
80s?
bang on 1990.
Well, like
It does feel like the most 80s movie ever, but it's
yeah,
1990.
And it's like it's got that massive nostalgia to it that films of that era have. So I think it will always. I mean, I went 10-9 obviously in favor of Pretty Woman because it makes sense, and I think it's one of them that everybody knows about, whether they've seen it or not. Whereas I don't think most people would. I think male and female know Pretty Woman. I don't think a lot of people would know Notting Hill as much. But I do think Notting Hill does have a massive legacy in British cinema. I think if you was to look at like British rom-coms, that would definitely always come up in the top 5, potentially even top 3 list. Probably after Love Actually and whatever else Hugh Grant's in. Fucking prick.
I love it.
What, Notting Hill?
Yeah, I mean, I like both. I think they're both great.
All that category, shall we? But
No, they're both great. I think a large reason for the legacy that Pretty Woman's got as well is the fact it really did just announce Julia Roberts to the world. Like, it made her a star, and the lasting impact that had has obviously spanned decades. So I think that plays a part in it. But like,
yeah, if she'd not done Pretty Woman, might not have had the best Tinkerbell ever to be made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or
No, that's it. That's the only thing I care about Julia Roberts.
we might not have had that new one to do with George Clooney, which name I can't remember.
Ticket to Paradise.
Ticket to Paradise, yeah. That were all right. But yeah, we might have missed out on that. Her and George Clooney being a divorced couple, that's not a fate we all deserve at all.
It was a terrible movie that had amazing chemistry.
Fucking bang up movie, I'm telling you. Loved it.
I worry about you sometimes. I mean, literally every waking moment I'm worried about you.
Oh, at least I know you're thinking about me all the time. It's one of those memes where like you can't sleep and your missus is like, trying to figure all these other girls. You're just like, I'm just worrying about a cow.
That's going to be Friday's post.
But yeah, I also think just the fact it made so much fucking money, it's hard to deny the legacy. Like, you can't understand how popular films got to be the 4th highest grossing ever. That's such an absurd thing. Like, it was like what? It was like Star Wars and E.T. and stuff like that, and then Pretty Woman, like for a rom-com.
Highest grossing movies of all time in 1990 of all time.
Yeah. You are putting in the work today, fucking hell.
This is why you need to do. Mate, it wasn't number 4. It was number 3.
Oh, was it?
In 1990, it was number 3. The only 2 films, which is actually pretty funny considering. Number 2 is Home Alone, which is whatever. But considering Notting Hill, the highest grossing film of all time in 1990 was Ghost.
Oh, really? So no, I think they're the highest grossing films of 1990 then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I meant in 1990.
So Pretty Woman came out, was the 4th highest grossing film of all time, and then it was immediately knocked down later that year.
Probably.
That's pretty ruthless. Because when it came out, I was looking at oh shit, it's me pen gone. When it came out, it was the 4th highest grossing ever. So I'm guessing because it came out early in 1990. By the end of it, when Home Alone came out and Ghost, they must have immediately knocked it off that page. 1990 must have been a big fucking box office year.
1990 in film. Let's have a look. We're really going off. When I said we need to rush this episode, we're really gone off the rails. I want to know what films came out in 90. The highest grossing film: Ghost, Home Alone, Pretty Woman, Dancing with Wolves. Oh my god, Total Recall. It beat Back to the Future Part 3 and Die Hard 2.
I mean, I'm not surprised it beat Part 3.
No, well, I am surprised it beat number 9 on the list because that should be number 1.
So
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nah, no one give a shit about that, unfortunately. So apparently, when it became number 4, it was only behind E.T., which was number 1, then Star Wars: A New Hope, and then Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
They are big films, aren't they?
Yeah, and that was 4th.
It was Hank Azaria's first film, Pretty Woman.
Oh, well, yeah, he has a really random role in it, like which didn't play. When I first watched it, I thought that was going to be more significant.
It's
The fact
literally.
that someone had been killed and he was this police officer.
Oh, it was
And
the year Russell Crowe had a first film as well. Blood Oath. Never heard of it.
so 90 was good for some and bad for others.
Yeah.
I tell you what's refreshing though, like in that top 4, E.T. and Pretty Woman, 2 films that they just existed in that without. We didn't get fucking 15 sequels. Like they were just there and gone.
What would the sequel name be to Pretty Woman 2? Or it would be Pretty Woman TOO. And
Prettier Woman.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Like Die Harder.
Yeah. That's what it'd be.
I
reckon. We still got one category. You won't think so, but we still got one. And this one isn't one we've done before, but let's be honest, we were struggling to come up with 10. So
we always struggle to come up with 10.
Yeah, but we still do it. This is the first time we've had to resort to this.
It might be a mainstay.
Yeah. And this one is just our personal favourite, which movie we prefer. So, like, it's pretty straightforward. Which one would you prefer rewatching? Which one did you like more?
We've talked about this a few times, like how the film that we actually prefer ends up not winning because when you break it down into categories,
it can bring interesting results. Like you don't expect it.
Yeah, and so this is kind of our way to have a last attempt to sway things in our favor. But I think like we never really talk about like which is our favorite out of the 2 or out of the 3 that we or however many we do. So I thought this would be a good category to kind of have a mainstay, mainly because we can never fill the 10. But it also is a good way of actually talking about what we like. And I think for me, I think Pretty Woman's more of a vibe, but I think the better film, as much as I hate him, is Notting Hill. And for me, like a few other films we've done in the past recently, it's all about the supporting cast that really make the film. So whilst like I do like Anna, like as much as a character's a bit questionable, I do like Anna Scott. And as much as like obviously I don't like Hugh Grant, I do like William. And you've got like Spike and Max and Martin and Honey and all the characters that really make the film. And I like how I didn't even know, I kind of went into it, I didn't even know if it was my turn, but I like how
I think it was
the film does kind of twist things on its head by having him reject her and then realize his mistake, because it's usually the other way around. And or they usually just have the big declaration of love and then they get together. And then you have the happy ending. So I like that there's a lot of different things. The Ain't No Sunshine moment is a standout moment in the film. Really enjoyed that. And I just think, yeah, there's just so much in the film that's likable. Found myself smiling and laughing a lot more of the jokes. Hugh Bonneville, perfect in that film as well, as another bumbling, awkward Britishman. But yeah, overall, I think I do really like Pretty Woman. I just think Edward kind of ruins it for me a lot. I understand why people would like it. I understand why it's considered a good rom-com, but not in my perspective. So yeah, I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill.
Yeah, I did the exact same. I went 10-9 in favour of Notting Hill. Mostly for the reasons you just said, like, aside from the stuff with Vivian and Barney, like, the rest of it is quite not, it's very simple and like rushed. Like I said, like the 1 week is never a good premise for a movie, like a rom-com. Like you can never convince me that a couple are going to fall in love in a week.
Unless it's like
unless it's me and Rachel McAdams, then I'm all in.
I mean, yeah, but what I was gonna fucking idiot. What I was gonna say was if it's like Groundhog Day and it's 1 week but it keeps repeating.
Yeah, Yeah, but like you said, the Notting Hill story, it's just more interesting. There's more layers to it. The characters all have more to do. The twist at the end with her, well, I call it twist and a loose twist. It's not exactly a big plot twist, but like having her proclaim her love and that really emotional, iconic speech, which it's still remembered for now, and then that not being the end, and him actually turning her down, and then later realizing his mistake and going to give the big public showing of love, which he does. Like, it's just different. Whereas the Pretty Woman one felt very by the book and like something you'd seen before. Obviously, that's easy to say now. I mean, I don't know if in the 80s/90s it was as common. But, the stuff with Edward and just like the fact that he's this big rich man paying this woman and then treating her the way he does throughout, it doesn't sit right. And I enjoyed both movies, but I think Notting Hill is one that I could probably rewatch more. Pretty Woman,
Yeah.
I'd heard so many good things about. So when I watched it, I was like, no, I like this, but this isn't the fucking big 5-star classic that everyone seems to make out. So, whereas Notting Hill, I didn't really have too many expectations for because it's not something many people talk about. But I just thought I enjoyed it more, despite Anna being a bit of a bastard.
I think with Pretty Woman, I think it's a lot of the I don't know if it's the older guy thing or if it's the rich man kind of thing that does it. I don't know. It just didn't work as much. It didn't work on me. It didn't seduce me. It didn't woo me. It didn't give me the tinglies.
No, but also it was random, like I said about the Hank Azaria thing. Like it opens up, and there's this guy investigating this dead prostitute, and then we just never touch that again. Like why is it so fucking dodgy at the beginning?
We open up on Heat, and then we end up.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was like, fucking, here we go. We've got a gritty crime drama. But apparently,
like the entire film, it turns out that Philip was the murderer, and he's been going around murdering prostitutes. And
or Edward.
And when he finds out that Vivian's a prostitute, see, we could make better films.
Or maybe Vivian's the killer.
Oh,
and now she's targeting rich men.
But she's got out of it. She's had a buyout. She's got a nice alibi now in a rich man.
Yeah, or maybe she's targeting Edward. Maybe that's the whole plot.
Why would she kill a prostitute?
Self-defense. No, it's got no relation to the actual plot. But maybe she did it. Was like, why am I doing this? I should be going after the rich man instead.
Yeah,
so she did.
What have I done this for? Fuck.
Maybe it was Kate, that crazy bitch. Who knows? But do you know? I actually saw something, and apparently, originally the film was pitched as like this gritty, dark movie about like the horrors of like prostitution and stuff. But instead, they went with a rom-com. I don't know whether that was a good. I mean, it probably was a good decision. It became the 4th highest grossing film of all time. But in 2024, you definitely got more chance of making a film like this. But if it is like the harsh truth and not this glamorized romantic comedy about a rich man taking a prostitute off the street,
I think the only moment is when she talks about how nobody ever plans it. She had dreams and stuff, but it just very glossed over in a very like, this is how we're getting close kind of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, that brings it to an end then. We got the scores. It's close, obviously. If you had to guess, where do you think it's gone?
I'm guessing it swung Notting Hill's way.
You would be correct. It is 191 to 188 in favour of Notting Hill, which most people probably think is blasphemous, considering how highly rated Pretty Woman seems to be. But we have our own opinions, damn it.
We are white men with our own opinions.
Yeah. It's about time they were heard.
I'm sick of my opinions being smothered by the women. I'm only joking. Please don't.
I love how you even when you were saying that, you got to kind of sound like you were second guessing whether to finish that sentence.
Yeah,
I'm sick of my opinions being smothered by women.
I know that was my Hugh Grant impression.
But yeah, Notting Hill won. I mean,
didn't Hugh Grant get caught with a prostitute?
I think he did actually.
Maybe that should have been the basis for the we're doing a Julia Roberts film about prostitutes, then we brought in Hugh Grant because he fucking loves them.
Maybe he should have been Edward. Maybe that's where we've been going wrong.
More believable.
I'm not really sure what the fuck Hugh Grant was doing in 1990, but it wouldn't have been. I don't think it'd been quite the same because he definitely wasn't old enough to be this fucking like sugar daddy type of thing that was what was going on.
No.
But yeah, so it's 191, 188. Notting Hill wins by 3. Both good films though, so it makes sense that it was fairly close.
Agreed.
Going in, I thought Pretty Woman was going to win. I just thought, even before watching them, obviously I'd heard so much good stuff about it. I just assumed it was going to win. I thought it'd walk away with it, to be fair, but pleasantly surprised.
I've seen Notting Hill a few times, and I've only seen Pretty Woman once, but I'm pretty sure I remember liking Pretty Woman more. But when I watched them this time, I was like, no, I like Notting Hill more. But I have to admit it on the podcast, but I didn't admit it's Grace at the time. I'm not letting her know that I enjoyed it.
Well, it's just, which one does Grace prefer?
I think she said both of them are kind of like her. They're the films that she can like recite and whatever. Like they're her rom-coms.
So she 10-10'd it essentially.
Yeah, essentially, no matter what I've said on this podcast, I'm going to get an ear rate.
Yeah, no matter what you said, it was wrong.
Even if I pray, do you know what? Even if I praise something, she'll probably say, "Well, you didn't even talk about this."
We're fucking old men now. Our memories aren't what they used to be. I forget all sorts. Sometimes I'll be talking about one of these categories and I'll talk about it, and then when it gets to your turn, you'll mention something in my head. I'm like, fuck, how did I even mention that? Like, how did I forget that thing existed?
I do that all the time with you. It's fine.
Yeah, it's our memories. They're not what they once were. But yeah, that brings another episode to an end. Then we've got one final rom-com week next week with arguably the most famous romantic comedy of all time, and in your words, one of the best.
Modern.
Yeah.
That
I've never seen, so I don't really know too much about. I know the twist. Unfortunately, that got spoiled for me.
But it's still great.
Yeah.
It's crazy how great it is, and it's stupid how much I love it.
Yeah. Well, did you have that plan, or did you just come off the spot?
I was trying to play it cool. I just came up with it on the spot. I was hoping you weren't going to pay too much attention to it.
Yeah, we've written it down since last week.
Yeah, it's still on my arm.
No, yeah. So we've got 2 very big ones next week to bring Valentine's month to an end. Like I said, one of the most famous ever. The one that a lot of people credit for really kickstarting like especially the more modern rom-com trend.
I could look to reenact one of the more famous scenes in the film, to be honest.
Yeah. You're doing that, aren't you?
I thought we agreed you were going to do it.
No. Not at all. Won't be fair on everyone listening. You won't be able to concentrate after that. Where does that podcast go? We've reached the top at that point. It's only down from there.
It might be the most listened to if you start doing that.
It's only down from that.
I'll have it on repeat.
No, you do it, we'll be reported. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed watching this / listening to this, guys. If you are watching on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you are listening on any of the podcast platforms, feel free to subscribe to the channels on there and please leave us a nice review. If you want to find us anywhere, our details are below on X and Letterboxd, where we are watching plenty. My Letterboxd is about to change drastically because I'm doing a dissertation for uni on women in horror film, especially more mainstream 21st century horror, and how they've been portrayed and how that has evolved following the Me Too movement, or whether it has evolved. I don't know if it has yet. That's what I'm about to find out. So there's going to be a lot of like slashes in my letterbox from the last like 25 years. Some of the worst shit I've ever seen, probably. But I'm just going to watch so many just to after I've got enough information. So that's probably where my letterbox is heading right now. Yours is still on your fucking shit lizard thing.
Don't even fucking dare. Godzilla, my baby.
You say this, but every week it's like 2.5 stars. It's like,
but I still love him.
Well, that says more about you than anything.
My letterbox is also going through a big change. Not for as serious reasons as yours. I finally caved, and I'm going to start logging my rewatches.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
If I'm going to try and average out 1 film a day, I can't do it by watching films for this podcast that I've already seen, because it takes up time in my nights and my week. So I need to start logging my rewatches. Also, it'll be interesting to see how many times I've watched any of the Star Wars. I'm assuming Last Jedi will probably get a few rewatches by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think it's fun to do the rewatches so you can see how many times. Like, I've already put Iron Claw 3 times. That's my most watched film so far this year. Since I started Letterboxd, 2022, I think. I think Iron Claw is already like my fourth most rewatched movie. I've not done too many rewatches.
I'm tempted to go watch it again. Take my brother-in-law to watch it because it's such a good movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Did you cry?
I got very teary at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I cried like 5 times. Got no shame.
You cry at fucking the credits to Mamma Mia 2. Something
Fucking right, I do. When Sam and Donna reunite,
fucking
it's
hell.
not worth thinking about. I'll cry now. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we will be back next week with our final episode of Valentine's Month. We hope to see you there. Peace out.
See you soon.